Welcome back to Blue Collar Speed and Repair. Working on the van again today. Van, truck, whatever you want to call it. Last episode or last video, we went through and rewired this whole thing. We got, well, at least mostly working lights and got an ignition switch in it, threw some gauges at it. This go around, I want to go through all the mechanical stuff as best we can. There's some issues that we need to work on and figure out. I believe the very first video that we put out on this, we ended up pulling the valve covers off, inspecting for damage, because remember, this engine was stuck originally. I didn't put gaskets on it, and they are leaking terribly. I'm assuming they're probably split or whatever. So also took the oil pan off, but didn't have a gasket for it, so we just resealed that with silicone. I don't know if we're going to fix that or just leave it if it's not leaking. Got some tune-up stuff, plugs, wires, cap rotor, that kind of stuff. Got a carb rebuild kit. What else? Yeah, there's a shift shaft seal leak in the transmission. Anyway, there's a whole list of things. Well, there's not a list of things. We're making a list of things to go through here, and I can never remember and can never keep track. So let's start with engine here. Valve cover gaskets. That's barely riding. What else we got? Tune-up. Carb rebuild. What else we got? Oh, we need to go through the cooling system. Remember, we got to investigate that rear radiator that's leaking. I want to double check the fuel system. In the, I believe, second video, we went through and put a fuel pump in it, and I can't remember if we replaced all the line or not, so we need to double check that. What else? Charging system. We got all the wiring done, and this was not charging. This has an external voltage regulator. I think the external voltage regulator is probably bad, so we need to check into that. We need to check into getting belts. And I'm sure there's a dozen other things. Yeah, belts, and I don't think I showed it in the original video, but I used a chain wrench on the harmonic balancer to try to turn the engine over that way. And I think the external part of the balancer slipped. Well, I know it slipped, and now it's just a little bit cocked. So when the engine's running, the balancer's wobbling around. So we got to see if we can do anything about that. I hope somebody can read this because I can barely see it. What else? Shift shaft seal I know is leaking. I want to check the rear diff. What else we got?
I don't know, we're running out of window.
We got more windows. There's a bunch of them.
Well, wires is part of the tune-up.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be it.
Well,
Full gasket kit.
yeah, that's the start of the list. I'm sure there's more to it. I'm sure there's more we'll probably add and remove and as we go. And I don't know. Let's get started. Okay, I think we're going to start with this cooling system. So I don't know if I really showed this before. This has the, well, I know I showed this secondary radiator, but so this has a secondary radiator laying flat down here, and it's leaking around this cap somewhere. It's been dripping Well, it dripped until it ran out, as far as I know. So I think we're just going to dump some water in this. I think I have a coolant pressure tester, so I can put some pressure to the cooling system and see if we can determine where this leak's at. I'm assuming they added it because of the bigger engine, and obviously they towed with it. I don't plan on towing at all. I have a tow rig. I don't need something else with a gooseneck or fifth wheel hitch. So if I have to, I'll just bypass the secondary radiator and we'll go from there. So we're going to dump a couple gallons of water in that real quick. We don't need it full. We don't need it bled, all that stuff. I just need to be able to put some pressure to it. We may not even need to pressure test it. It may just run down there and start leaking out. We'll see.
Maybe.
Oh, don't spill it.
Just wash this out for
Gurgle, gurgle. If you don't have one of these funnels, they are a lifesaver. I highly recommend it. I'm going to go, while you're doing this, I'm going to go add battery cables that we didn't get to last time, and vacuum hoses, and PCV. Gonna hit it?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Set it as it okay?
Yeah.
All right. Battery cables, vac hoses. What did I say? PCV?
Mm-hmm. I think we might have a piece of it.
I think we do too, but we'll get to that. I'm sure that hose is crunchy.
I'm sure everything on this thing is crunchy.
What do I do with my light? There it is. I don't think we need to pressure test it. That's probably good. It's already leaking with just having water in it. So let's get this thing back up in the air real quick. Might have to take some covers and stuff off. See if we can figure out where this is coming from. All right. It looks to me like, I don't know how well this is going to show. There's not a lot of room here. So radiator cap, this would be normally going to an overflow, which it doesn't because there's an overflow on the top of the engine there. Looks like it's coming out of that, which it shouldn't bypass the cap unless there's pressure. So may just have a bad cap here. So let's pull this cap off and investigate. We're about to make a mess. I already know it.
You want the big drain pan?
Probably should.
Make sure it's empty.
It's not empty, but let me get a pair of pliers in there. Maybe not. Can I just do that? I'm gonna wear it. That's just all there is to it. Yeah. Come on now. Now we gotta push. Of course, there's a lift arm right in the damn way. Okay. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, that one.
All right. I guess we'll let that drain for a minute. Be right back. All right. I think we're done draining. Nate, I can't get my hand in here to push in very well. We'll try a pry bar. See if I can just push in on it and turn it. Well, that's not really working either. I was hoping I could push in. Where'd those pliers go? Right there. Hold on. Push in. And there we go. More leakage. All right.
I guess we didn't need almost a whole gallon.
Sure didn't. This is basically the bottom of the system here. Let me put this down just a little bit so I can see. All right. Well, I can't see why. I wonder if we just have a bad seal. So the way this normally works, cap goes on the radiator. The hose that's actually leaking should be above this seal, so that when the system builds pressure, this will push down and allow coolant or water, whatever your system is using, to go out into the overflow, which is why it's an overflow. Keeps your system from being overpressurized. Now we have a pressurized cap on the top, so we don't necessarily need this. The problem I have is none of this looks that bad. So why it's leaking out, I'm not sure. So I guess we can get a cap while we're out later. I don't know if I have another one. I might. Let me see if I have another cap. If I do, then maybe it'll seal better. And if it does, we can just move on. All right, I have another cap here. Looks in pretty good shape. It is used, but the rubber's still soft. So I'm going to try this. See if I can fight this one in there. And my pliers went there. All right, so now I guess we put water in it again.
I need to go fill my bottle back up.
And see if it leaks. All right, she dumped another gallon of coolant in there, or water rather, and currently it is no longer dripping. So I want to take the pressure tester, put it on this system real quick, put actual pressure to this, just to be sure. There is only a gallon. There is only a gallon of water in here currently, but that should be enough to test this radiator. Sorry, I'm a little all over the place today. I'm kind of out of it. So I got this. This is actually a snap-on, but coolant pressure tester here. I'm gonna pump it up, put some pressure in it. If it'll take pressure, it won't. Oh, it is. It's just got a.
Needs a minute.
Well, air compresses and water does not.
pushing water out of the heater core.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about the heater core. I forgot the heater core leaks. So this test is not going to work.
We can't find a replacement. Unless we bypass it.
Yep. So I had planned all along to go ahead and bypass the heater core because we can't actually find one or get one. So we're going to have to wait to pressure test it until we get it bypassed. I forgot about that. All right, well, like I said, I'm a little out of it today.
I guess we need to bypass that.
I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, got our heater core bypassed. What you have to do if you're running a thermostat and you're not running a heater core, you have to bypass that that heater circuit. So normally your thermostat's closed as the engine warms up, but your water pump's always turning. So normally the coolant will bypass the thermostat and the radiator, go through your heater core. If you don't have that, the coolant will actually just cavitate in the water pump and create a bigger problem. So always run a loop in your cooling system or your heater system if you're not running a heater. It's not that big of a deal if you're not running a thermostat, but everybody runs a thermostat. All right, so I tried to put a little pressure in this, but air will compress, and we only have a gallon in a system that has 2 radiators. Most importantly, though, it is no longer dripping here, so we're going to call that for now, and we'll probably have to, circle back around to the cooling system. We'll see. So let's get this crap out of our way. Oh, got some pressure in there. Let go. There we go. And probably yank all these wires out, yank all the plugs out. I'm getting hooked on this. There we go.
Maybe you should just cut the wires now so you don't fight them the entire time.
Yeah. I like to fight with things. 3 and 4.
I'm going to bust my knuckle on this. I don't want to.
Okay. My side's down. What's taking so long?
I'm just trying to hang out.
Don't hit me with it.
Sorry.
There you go. Got those for you.
Sorry,
You want to give me that screwdriver? I did disconnect the battery, right?
Oh, you a spark plug stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Memory serves me a swivel.
Sure.
Cap actually didn't look that bad.
No.
Like the contacts are so
I think we looked at this before, and the cap and rotor actually looked really good. But since we're replacing all the other parts in the ignition system, I figured might as well. We'll hang on to the cap and rotor.
I didn't think you wanted the red or the yellow,
Yeah.
so I just got black.
That's fine. All right. So step number 1, we need to find top dead center. I'm gonna need a Phillips screwdriver for this. Sorry about the background work or background noise. They're doing dirt work outside, which will be coming in a future video. I think I'm putting this on backwards.
It looks like maybe they tried to do a tune-up on this the last.
At some point.
Yeah, to get it running and they just never succeeded?
Maybe. Maybe that's why the timing's all out of whack. Square hole, round hole. Yep, sure enough. Just trying to put it on. No, that's right. I had it right. Okay, so cap's off, wires are off, plugs are out. So now we have to find top dead center. I apologize about all the background noise. They're doing dirt work outside. That's a future video coming. Finding top dead center. So what I'm going to do is put my finger in the number 1 spark plug hole. You're going to reach over and touch the battery back together because it's not. And we're looking for compression, so it should try to push my finger off. Right there. So that should be compression stroke. Now, you're pointing at my chest. Hey, up here, where's camera woman?
I was inhaling whatever came out of that spark plug hole and trying to disconnect the battery.
Okay. So I know for a fact, like I said before, that crank pulley has turned a little bit. Or at least the balancer on the outside of the pulley. So we can't go off of a mark on the pulley. So what we're going to have to try to do is use the borescope. You can use a coat hanger or whatever you want, but basically we need to find where the piston reaches the top of its stroke just before it comes back down. That is true top dead center. All right, you ready? Okay, so you guys are watching the piston there. I'm going to turn this over by hand. Is it coming up? Okay. Tell me when it Tell me when it crests and stops. Still coming? Still coming up? Still? Still coming up?
It looks like it's about stopped.
Stopped?
Okay, stop.
Is it going back down?
Yeah, I guess we're going back in.
Okay, so now we're gonna go back the other way. Tell me the middle point there. It's going up or going down again?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna go back just a little bit here. Okay. All right, so I don't know if you guys can see this, but I cleaned off the timing tab on the crank pulley. Now I'm gonna mark. Just gonna clean that off. I'm gonna mark where the 0 is. That will give us our timing reference mark. Now, being that this engine is shoehorned in here, it's difficult to see what I'm doing, let alone show you guys what I'm trying to do. That did basically nothing.
Looks like it's coming out. Maybe we melted a lot of it out during the trailer.
Kind of got a mark in there. All right, So now, let me take this guy, figure out which way it goes on here. Where's that flat screwdriver? Come back.
How are we gonna put a green light on it?
There we go. So generally, this is what we would want to be number 1. And as you can see, it's way over there. So when you loosen this distributor up, crank that over so it's in line with that, which I'm sure is going to be a good time as well. What?
I thought a screwdriver just fell.
Both right here.
Distributor wrench?
I think I can get a regular socket on it.
Okay.
1 second. Oh, hang on to it. So this needs to go. I guess I should have marked. The housing here should be roughly right there. So we need to turn this. Tighten this back down just a little bit. Have it back? There we go. All right, so essentially what I did, we brought using the borescope, we brought the number 1 cylinder or number 1 piston to top dead center, establishing our true 0 TDC, top dead center. We marked the crank pulley so we know where 0 reference is. Using our cap, we mark what we want as a number 1 cylinder. Mark the distributor with where that, move your hand, get the light. Mark the distributor with where that lines up with on the cap, and then turn our rotor to it. Or, excuse me, turn the distributor so the rotor lines up. So essentially we should be at 0 timing, if that makes any sense. I apologize, this is very difficult to explain, very difficult to show. And I'm not very good at explaining things, if you haven't noticed already. So from here, let's go ahead and put our cap on. Again, we have a reference for what number 1 is going to be. And before we put wires on, and I guess we can put plugs in, but before we put wires on, let's go ahead and swap these valve cover gaskets out. Okay, she got the valve covers all cleaned up really good. While she was doing that, I got the old gaskets off. They pretty much just disintegrated. They just came off in chunks. Went ahead and kind of vacuumed everything. So let's get these slammed back on. Which one is yours? That one. They're a little tricky getting in there and the bolts lined up and all that. I don't know if we should put the gaskets in there first and then set this in there.
I feel like we're gonna have to because they're so shoehorned.
Or
Silicone.
do we silicone them to the valve cover?
I think that's a good idea.
At least a couple dabs. All right, let's do that. I'm just gonna put a couple dabs on here. I'm just gonna put a thin layer to hopefully hold this gasket in place. All right, what's happening? All right, this is plugged up. 1 second. All right, see if that works better. Just putting a thin layer in here. That's thick. Normally you wouldn't have to do this, but given our tight spaces here, I just want to see if we can keep from fighting this gasket. This should kind of help hold it in place.
Thin layers my style.
Huh?
That thin layers my style.
Yeah. What I meant by thin layer was just slathered in there. Already got it on my hands, so it's perfect. Okay.
You may have to put this one in. I'm pretty sure I'm stuck. This will be a lot easier to help line up the bolt holes too.
Yep. Well, in theory, what's happening? There it goes.
Easy to go.
All right.
Basically, I'm trying to figure out how I want to try and get out of this debacle here.
Well, we didn't get any on this side.
I did a thin layer.
Well, there's your problem.
You said thin. I was following directions. Messed up our pristine carpet. That's all over my hands now.
Yep. There we go. All right. So now the trick is just make sure you get the bolts actually through the gasket.
That didn't help line up the gasket.
Did it fall in?
There it is. Got the first one.
Well, you still got to line it all up.
Well, I mean, the gasket fell on some of them. I'll have to use a screwdriver or something to.
Okay. All right, we're going to fight all these bolts in. Okay, skipped ahead a little bit. Got the valve covers all buttoned back in, or buttoned up, bolted down, tightened. Went ahead and got the spark plugs back in. So we're going to start working on wires. So these are a cut to length, which are handy to get where you want them, but they are a pain in the butt to do. So we're going to start laying these out long to short. Longest to the front of the engine, obviously. So drop this down. And what do we do with it right there? I like to put a little dielectric grease in the end. That's not open. Now it is. Just a little bit. Make sure that snaps into place. I think it did.
Sounds like it did.
Yeah. There we go. Okay. There. Next. Longest. One for that side.
Oh, which one? There's two here.
I know. Those are the two for that side. Just haven't got there yet. They are giving it heck in that gas-powered Chevy dump truck they got out there. Mm-hmm. All right. Wonder how hard it would be to just take this thing off. Let me look into that real quick. I'll see about just taking this cover off. Then I can sit back there and just get to the distributor easily. All right, went ahead and laid all the wires out. Took this like engine cover off so I have some room to work. So being Oldsmobiles, typical GM 13572468. So I have them laid out that way as well, 1357. All GM firing orders are the same. If you have a factory manifold, if you can see this here, it doesn't show up real well, but it gives you your firing order, 18436572. Something to note, a Chevrolet rotor turns clockwise, and on this Oldsmobile, it turns counterclockwise. So starting with our number one that we marked here, we need to go 18436572 instead of clockwise like we normally would on a Chevrolet. Oh, feet are stuck. So starting with number one, I think we need to route these under the throttle linkage here. Pick how much wire we want. I like to go kind of past like that. Again, with a little bit of dielectric grease, it helps get through the boot. Now the tricky part is getting it around this corner here. Come on. There we go. I don't know if I have a napkin or a paper towel or anything here. Let me grab one. One sec. So this is actually an MSD tool. Used for crimping, and it's got this like little guide on it for cutting your wires, which is handy. So you stick that through. Put your razor knife in place. Give the wire a twist here. Off she comes. That piece is trash. I lost it. There it is. Help with these dikes. Cut. All right. What we want to do is fold the conductor back. Lay that over. I did not bring a pair of pliers with me. All right, hold on. Let me get organized here. Usually got to pinch these together a little bit to get it started. Okay. And I don't know if you can see that, but that acts as your crimper. Get that started in there. This guy goes on here like this. Spider webs. All right. That one lined up. And that'll crimp your end on. Pull our boot back over here. Again, I like a little dielectric grease in the end. Back on there. Back on our number one. And voila. Now, 7 more times. 8 with coil wire. Alright, I'm gonna knock this out and I don't know what's next. Alright, got all the wires hooked up. I hate building wires. But, you know, sometimes it's necessary. I tried to loop these down and under best I can to stay away from our throttle linkage. I think it starts any better now.
I don't know.
Put the battery up.
Hold on. I can't reach the gas pedal from there.
No, I can reach the throttle.
Okay.
Right here.
Ready?
Hit it.
I just thought I should keep my face away just in case.
Go. Still gotta play with timing. So, if we go, I don't know if I can turn it.
So I'll get through somewhere.
Try that. Okay, we obviously got to put a timing light on this thing. I didn't have a 90-degree PCV valve, so the hose is actually disconnected from the front of the carb, so it's got a giant vacuum leak right now. But sounds 1,000 times better. So what do you want to do next? I think next we, yeah, that guy? I don't want to do that guy. I think you should do it.
I'll do it. It
Oh,
might
God.
not be put back together the
Oh,
way
God.
it came apart, but I'll do it.
All right, let's yank this carburetor off.
You
See if
got
we can clean it up a little bit. Okay, so this thing seemed to run okay, but looking at that, You can only imagine what the inside of this thing probably looks like. So the goal is basically just to clean it up. I know the accelerator pump seal is leaking. Our lighting here is kind of terrible. Basically, I just want to go through everything, clean it all up, clean all our passages, replace seals that we can replace, and go from there. All right. Move to a position where there's a little more light. Our filter housing off here, which I'm pretty sure we already took off and pulled the filter out. We did. Now, I'm no carburetor guru. I don't know how this thing works. Apparently it doesn't. Okay. So, I'm just going to start taking stuff apart.
Is that instructions?
Yeah, I'll just throw those directly in the trash. I've had a few carburetors apart, but I'm no expert by any means. Alright, so you can see the nastiness that's in there. So I'm going to pull those are our jets in there. I'm going to pull all those out. I got some carb cleaner. I'm going to clean all this stuff up, blow through all the passages, put it back together with new gaskets. Alright, all cleaned up. Got all our clips and stuff back in place. Let's go slam it on and see if it works. Take that. I'll take this. Ugh. See if I can get my legs to work. Step on whatever that was. Alright, well, we lost the clip for the throttle. Put something on that's, well, kind of too big, but it'll work. We'll have to get some more clips from a hardware store. We got a couple other things we got to get as well. So, that being said, I didn't hook up the choke cable either because it doesn't move. So we'll have to pick up one of those as well. I want to throw coolant in this and fire it up, make sure it's going to run and not leak all over the place. So let's, you know where our marker is? There it is. Let's see what the list has to say. All right. Let's see what we got here. Valve cover gaskets, done. Tune up, done, other than setting timing. Rebuild on the carb, done. Cooling system we're working on. Fuel system we haven't checked. Charging we haven't checked. We got a little ways to go. I think cooling system is going to be done. Fuel, I think we got to check. Pretty sure we did that. Got to look at what belts we need, seals, vacuum hoses. So I went ahead and replaced one, which was pretty crispy. This is the one for the Vacuum Advance. It's actually pretty soft still, and I don't have one long enough, so I'm not going to worry about that one too much. I'll have to pick up some vacuum hoses, and I need to get a 90-degree PCV valve. I don't have one. So let's dump some coolant in this thing, fire it up, see if we can get it to warm up. All right, so we got coolant in this thing. I want to get it fired up, see if we can get it warmed up. We have to crank on it for a second to fill this carb bowl back up. Should hopefully run pretty good. Go for it. That's not going to do anything because there's no fuel in the carburetor.
I gotta put the battery back up first.
That might help.
And this ratchet's in the way of the throttle noise. Thinking we didn't put in that.
You hooked that up.
I started it and then I handed you a clip that got lost.
Mm-hmm. Okay, hold. All right, that's quarter. Right. Go. Good. Come on, girl. Right, stop that. Let's give it a little more timing. Go ahead. Whoa. Okay. This thing's angry. Why? Okay. Okay. You're not holding it? You were holding it. All right. So let's crank this throttle up a little bit. Did you bring the screwdriver?
Nope, they're both on the
All right. All right. Try again. Timing is still not happy.
Something bad happened. Watch face.
Alright. Got a timing light. We're at 190. Something in the cooling system's not happy. The gigantic air pocket.
Probably has something to do with those big pipes.
Maybe? Yeah, it's sucking it down right now.
There's still more water in that jug.
Well, it's still in there. Sure got warm fast.
Do you want me to turn the fan around?
Doesn't really matter.
It's burning all that oil off that was leaking out of the valve cover.
Yeah. It's sucking it down right now. Just water or mix?
That's just water.
Do we have mix?
Yeah, right there.
I don't even know if this has a thermostat in it. It's already up to 190-ish. But it's cold and sweaty now. With these dual radiators, I don't know how to bleed the air out of it. Probably should have pulled like the heater hose off or something. We'll give that a minute. Please don't boil over.
I don't believe it's any oil around here. Oh goodness. You were awfully brave to be right there.
That's interesting. The whole thing's vibrating. Again, I don't know how to bleed this with two radiators. Get a shot of this. There we go. So we know there's coolant to there.
That's going over.
What are you talking about?
That was getting closer. Quick.
Well, how do we get the air out?
More air coming out?
Yep.
Here, I'm gonna be running. Perfect.
Alright, I'm gonna keep playing with this. See what happens. Well, the plot thickens. So I got the cooling system to bleed. Run it, it would start gurgling, shut it off, crack the temp sender line, let some air out. I did that 3 or 4 times, and then somebody pointed out, hey, we got a leak. So put this thing up in the air and looked, and it's pouring directly out of the water pump. So when we got this thing, there was, in the like trunk bed thing, there was a water pump and a fuel pump. We already had to replace the fuel pump. Looks like I had to replace the water pump too. So we're going to move on from the cooling system now that we know how to bleed it. I did look underneath while I was there. We did replace all the lines on the fuel. So there's no point really in messing with the engine side anymore. It needs to be running for the charging system test that I need to do. And there's no point in running it with it just gushing coolant. So I guess we can pull the rear diff real quick, rear diff cover. And I'm curious what gear ratio this has. It should have came with either a 373 or 410. I'm hoping for a 373. A little better highway. And then we're going to make a parts list and call it a day. All right, let's get this diff cover off here. I already know it's not a limited slip, unfortunately. That would have been cool. This is not going to fit really well. This isn't going to fit, is it? No. Of course, we left all our sockets up there. I lied. That one started.
What was the writing say?
I don't know.
7156 something.
Yeah. 2937? 2937 something. I don't honestly know. Try not to wear this again like I did on the 83 C10. Somehow we left all the tools up there. Well, she was due for a change. Huh? No, better than getting me.
Close.
All right. Brake line seems to be right in the way. That did exactly what I thought it would do. All right. It's in park, so we can't turn it around. Ooh, can I change it here? Probably not. Look for some numbers.
There's one here.
Got it?
Here, there's numbers.
Probably 9 and 37. Let's try that. $37 divided by 9, 411. Well,
Not a highway gear.
not a highway gear,
Which
but
is weird because they hold with it.
well, they want the lower gear would be better for
Going?
towing. So it should get up and go with a big block, that's for sure. All right, that battery's about to die. My battery's about to die. So we're going to do some cleaning up. We're going to get parts list going, and we will see you guys tomorrow. We're back with parts. So we got a water pump. Looks like the right one. Diff gasket. Went ahead and picked up a universal choke cable. A couple belts. Want to start this morning. Well, it's not even morning anymore, but we'll start today with trying to get this water pump swapped out. Try to finish this cooling system that we've been trying to finish for a while now. I don't think I can get this fan. Well, let me shine this down here so you can see. I don't think I can get this fan out without getting the shroud out. I already took the bolts out that I found on the bottom. It looks like there's some kind of a brace across here with bolts coming in the back. So I'm going to try to take this thing loose. I think it's just hose clamped into place. I don't need it out, just need it to move over a little bit so I can get those bolts. Get the bolts out of the fan. See if I can get that whole mess out of here. Okay, now, is this going to come out of here? Please. Can you get the fan out? Kinda. Can you hold this that way, maybe? We're hooked. Okay, fan's out.
You gotta get it back in.
Yeah. Well. What are we hitting now?
Stuck on the corner of the cup, it looks like.
Yeah.
Maybe? Everything?
On that side looks fairly straight up and down.
It's hitting pulleys in there.
They're hung up on the pulleys. Know what's going on? Huh.
See?
No, I can't see anything actually.
Under that pulley. See?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to destroy the radiator.
Well, I mean, there's a ton of rivets over here for a reason.
Yeah.
I bet you it went in pieces and riveted.
Probably. Let me see the light. We can actually take that lower pulley off. Also probably not a good time. But if we do, will it come past the water pump? All right. I don't know which point at me for. I don't know what to say. I don't know what we're doing. We're hung up on the crank pulley, the pulley for the belts. So we're gonna put this thing up in the air, see if I can just yank that thing off, and then hopefully this shroud will just slide out of here. So they relief cut over here. This is actually where the alternator pulley ends up. I wonder if we relief cut it for to get this thing out of here. Short of pulling the radiator out or trying to do the water pump with
Fan shroud in?
with the fan shroud in, which means we need to go fire up the compressor. All right, again, we'll be back. All right, I just used my little air saw, made me a water pump shaped hole or cut. And now, I don't know, an hour later, we can get to our water pump here. Look at this homemade bracket for the alternator. That's crazy. Bottom one looks homemade too. All right. I think we're gonna pull this thermostat housing, so we can get this like little bypass hose off. We got to pull this heater hose off that we had put on previously. Is there a 5/16 socket laying over there somewhere? All right, we should be back to where we started. Got the water pump all in, went ahead and got the belts back on, swapped out the one little bypass hose. We drained our rusty coolant into a bucket and then smashed said bucket. Now, learning from last time, I have the coolant sending unit disconnected. Yeah. Ended up having to do that, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. There's a lot of crap in here. We probably should have filtered it. Considering how rusty this is, I don't imagine a little bit of dirt is going to hurt it.
And we may be doing some depending on if we decide to keep both radiators or not.
And that was a big chunk. All right. Well, our new water pump will chew that right up. All right, I'm going to go grab some more coolant. Do we have a mix somewhere? Yep, right here. All right, here we go. Battery. Every time.
All right. There's junk in the way. Okay.
All right. Try again. Come on, girl. Trying to do the thing. We're gonna shut that off. Crack this.
Let the bubbles out.
Let the air out. Okay. That's what I had to do like 4 times yesterday.
I'll suck it back down, right?
Yep. tracker, pretty good vacuum. Fuel gauge I think works, tach works. Okay. Charging system fixed itself. Belts, and I know I mentioned before that the balancer was like wobbling around. I don't know if I saw something or thought I saw something, but it's running really straight. So I don't know if it's self-healed or what. PCV valve. We forgot to check at the store. So this one has one like straight out and it's kind of hitting the doghouse a little bit. I just need a universal one with a 90, so we'll get to that later. That's not that big of a deal. Shift shaft seal I know is leaking. We have one. Rear diff we got to put back together, and I want to take a look at these battery cables.
Cooling system.
Oh, cooling system, big one. Big one. We need more marking pens because this one's not doing the thing anymore. But all right, yeah, that was a fight to the finish, but we got there in the end. Dealt with a couple leaks. Put a thermostat in. Thermostat did open. It's actually staying right at 180 like it's supposed to. Of course, we're not driving it sustained RPM or anything. That's a test for later. Let's see. So currently, the negative cable comes up and bolts onto right there to the intake. I'd like to run that shorter line and clean up spot maybe on the bell housing or something, just so it's not draped across the engine, as well as it needs a new end. We'll take a look at the positive cable. It actually I don't think is too bad. I know the side at the starter looked okay, but it's just kind of laying across the transmission, so maybe we'll try to do something with that. She's opening the door and turning the fan on. It's smoky in here. It's fine. All right, well, it's really smoky inside. So we're gonna let this fan run for a few minutes, probably open this door all the way. And then we'll get to work on these battery cables. All right. Here's our positive cable. It was just kind of draped across the top of the transmission. They did put something, looks like foam or something. The cable's all still pliable, so I think I'm just going to reuse it. I'd like to go and clamp it to that upper bell housing bolt, and then we'll run it across here, and then probably clamp it to the bottom of the frame rail here somewhere, and then right to the battery. As far as the negative goes, we actually have a bell housing bolt missing. I'm trying to work the light and camera here. Bell housing bolt missing, so we'll probably just tie the negative to the positive and just run it right to that bolt. We'll clean it up just a little bit, put a bolt in there, and unless that bolt's broken off in there, which it might be, we'll see. All right, positive first. Okay, so now see if we can even put a bolt in this other one. No, I think that one's stripped out or broke off in there. Well, all right. So got the cable kind of rerouted here a little bit. Got it clamped up to the bell housing there. loops over to this side. I hook the negative cable to the back of the cylinder head. Across, it's clamped up to the body, so it should all be away from the exhaust. Right to the battery here. So I'm going to drop this thing down. We'll get that hooked up. And I'm going to call it a day. I'm going to call it a video because I'm tired. Battery's all buttoned down, or hooked up anyway. Still got to figure out a hold down. I'm honestly probably going to put a bungee cord around it. Just make sure our connections are good still. They are. Starts well now. Runs good. All right, well, I lost my marker, but valve covers done. Tune-up done. Rebuilt the carburetor, cooling system, even though it was an absolute fight. Fuel system we had already taken care of. Charging system, hey, look, found it. Charging system somehow fixed itself. Put new belts on it. Shift shaft seal we didn't get to, but that's not that big of a deal. Rear diff, I'm just going to do myself. We did get a new gasket, so it's just a matter of putting the gasket on it and bolted it back on. Not a huge deal. Battery cables are done, and PCV valve we got to get. So, out of our list, we did a pretty dang good job, I think. It's running good. Starts up good. Idle's great. Of course, who knows what it's going to do going down the road, which we're still a little ways from that, I think. A lot of work the last couple days. We've been busy. So, appreciate you guys following along. This thing's been fun. Having a blast working on it and getting it back on the road. Hopefully that will be sooner than later. Other than that, if you haven't seen the other videos on this thing, check them out. I'm sorry this video's been kind of all over the place. Having to get parts and all that stuff. It's kind of a hassle. Other than that, leave me a comment. Tell me what you think of the van truck thing, whatever you want to call it. Like the video if you would. Come back and see us next time. And that's all I got. You got anything? Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you guys next time.